Elements of Spirit, fire reading for the week of March 6th, 2017. Fire element is for the signs of Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Let's see what comes through for y'all today. Interesting. So I see a beautiful little image, which I will show you. And then it's like the message is there is a lake within every inferno. It's so cool because it's kind of like the same thing as same idea behind like the eye of the hurricane. In the eye of the hurricane, it's totally still while the hurricane rages all around it. Well, the candle is the flame is fire, is transformation. Transformation, so much transformation. And when you think about it, the particles, I don't know the chemistry of fire, I should probably look into that, but right, the constant burning of oxygen and this change of form of the wick and the wax or the fuel into the flame. The idea is that somewhere in the center of that flame, maybe even at the very center of that flame, is a spot which is perfectly cool, which is not hot, which is deep, which is emotional, which is because it's water. Lake is water element. Because the water, all of the lakes and rivers and streams theoretically on Earth are connected, right? So, and water is the medium of connection and the intuition and the emotions, what connect us all, right? Energy. In the center of transformation is a place of peace. There is a still point in the middle of change. What it requires for you to enter that still point, this is why it's not just a space. What it requires is for you to acknowledge your feelings, for you to bravely acknowledge your feelings, bravely acknowledge where you're at, how you feel, not just what's going on, but how you feel. Fire signs, more important to acknowledge how you feel right now than it is to be bare bones about like what exactly is going on here. Because your feelings are going to tell you how well you're doing accepting from the ether reading, accepting what's coming to you, and making choices to make yourself feel supported by yourself, making choices so that you do not feel unsupported based on what's coming at you, what's coming through you, or what's coming through. What this would imply is that as these events keep coming to you, fire elements, that you're sort of pushing the fire into the feeling, saying, I feel fine, I feel fine, I feel fine, I feel fine. Well, get a little more specific. How do you really feel? Do you feel fine? Do you feel tired? Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you feel exhausted, like you're at the end of a long journey? Do you feel exhausted like you're at the beginning of a long journey? Like, how do you feel? What is making you, not even what is making you feel, how do you feel based on the events that are happening to you? And the idea here is that you're going to struggle to make strong choices to change your narrative, to make empowered choices to change your narrative. That's the affirmation from the ether reading. I change my narrative through empowered choices. You're going to struggle to make those empowered choices if you don't get real about how you actually feel right now. Okay, so affirmation, I accept my feelings unflinchingly. I don't even know. Okay, again, great. We're going to take that. That's the affirmation. I accept my feelings unflinchingly. So unflinchingly means every time, it means I'm looking, and I'm not flinching. I'm looking. I'm looking at my feelings. I'm feeling my feelings. I'm looking for my feelings. I want to get to the bottom of my feelings. I want to accept my feelings. I do accept my feelings. I accept my feelings unflinchingly. If you don't, most likely you're going to feel a sense inside of yourself of like, bullshit. If you can't say, I accept my feelings unflinchingly, without that friction inside, fire loves friction. Water is very calm, very poised, very still. Or it's churny, but friction doesn't, I never knew this, but I guess when you think about it, friction is different in water because water is weightless. There's drag is different, glide is different in water, on water. The pressure is so different. So friction, if you try to rub two sticks together to start a fire underwater, not going to work. So my point is here is that in order to be fully present and centered within the transformations that are occurring in your life, within the actions that you're taking in your life, you've got to accept your feelings unflinchingly. That just means, it doesn't mean you have to accept everything. It just means you have to start where you're resisting. Whatever you're resisting is where you start letting it in. Whatever you feel uncomfortable about is what you've got to look at the most. And what they're saying is you don't have to work with them, you don't have to do anything about it, you just have to accept them in order to then feel like you're making empowered choices based on what's happening to you, so that if you want to change that narrative, you know you can, you feel you can, and that if you like the narrative, you're fine. You're just focusing on how you actually feel to understand whether or not you want to change your narrative. Okay, so affirmation is, I accept my feelings unflinchingly, I accept my feelings unflinchingly, I accept my feelings unflinchingly. Love you, fire brethren and sistren. See you next week.